What's going on, everybody? It has been a minute. We took a week off. Fall break was fall breaking, and now we're back into the mix. And a lot of soccer happening. Men's team coming to the end. I can't believe it's only 2 games left in the regular season. We got plenty to talk about with that. Women's team is just getting rolling, so there's more to come there. Of course, we got the whole crew today. We got Kyle in his patented pink room, the nursery/studio.
Yep.
Loving it. How's it going, Kyle? Oh, Kyle
we're in the nursery again. We did all the hard work to get this thing up and running, so we're just gonna spend as much time in here as we can.
Heck yeah. It will be like your second home here soon.
Yes.
Or primary home, really.
I'm already breaking it in.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of
we're getting it ready.
Yeah, that's great. Jessica, what's up with you?
Not much. Between our last episode and now, we had the pleasure of the stomach bug going through.
Yeah. Both of our families. Yeah.
Yep.
Jeez.
Thanks to that kid, Dora Cooper's class.
Yep. Threw up everywhere.
But we still had fun.
Like, guess what? Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
we still had a good break, though. We did the best of it.
Yeah, that's all you can do. Then what's up, man?
Nothing much, just enjoying the nice fall weather, I don't know about you guys, but like when it becomes fall and the weather starts to drop, there's like certain songs or like bands that I have to listen to, so I'm like kind of getting into that mood of, listening to like certain albums and stuff because like the weather's changing, I don't know. Are you guys like that? Do you have any songs like that or anything? No. Nothing
I'm
seasonal?
Literally just no. I do not have any seasonal music, man. But I'm sure there are a lot of people that do cycle through seasonal music. So you're not alone. Somebody out there listening is like, I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of like whatever I'm feeling for that day, and then I latch onto it for 3 months, and then I go back into another rotation of something else for 3 months, and it's not really necessarily because of the season. It's because of ADHD. Or something undiagnosed. I don't know. I don't know if it's that. So what's in the rotation right now, man?
Well,
this time of year.
Go ahead, Kyle.
This time of year, I get into the Halloween theme. I get into Monster Mash.
Monster Mash.
I'm really big into Thriller right now. Yeah, so just those type of songs. I don't know what it is about this time of year. It just kind of gets me, going on the spooky vibes. Yeah. So that's the Addams Family theme.
Over and
that's
over
what we're
again.
listening to. Yep.
Nice.
Old Nightmare Before Christmas soundtrack, just on repeat.
It's a great soundtrack.
Yeah, it's got some catchy stuff. I'm not a big Halloween person, honestly. I mean, I am because I got kids. I have to be, but otherwise, I'm just kind of like, meh. No.
Yeah.
It's like one of those like holidays. Once you become an adult, you're just like, all right. I guess it's cool.
Oh, I've gone the other way. I like Halloween now more than I ever did as a kid. I don't know why. So we'll see if that changes when we have a kid. But
that's because you're diabolical and you go out and you like steal bags of candy from kids.
Well, I mean, you didn't have to say that out loud on the podcast. I told you that in in but yeah, I mean, it's
there's now everybody knows if something happened to me because I outed you, man. So
yeah, I know. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
What do you guys call the night before Christmas?
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve,
or not Christmas. Sorry, Halloween. Sorry.
Is this a trick question?
That was a trick question. See, that was the first question. I was just seeing if you guys were paying attention to me. You guys,
warming us up.
Okay,
that was an easy one.
Call
it was a layup.
The night before Halloween.
I
there was a name for it, right?
All Hallows Eve, isn't it?
It's like a regional thing. So like in New Jersey, like where I'm from, it's called Mischief Night, and then like so like people would go out, and that's where you see like TP and like people's yes, that's Super Bowls. No, so like the like stereotype of like seeing like TP on people's houses and people getting egged and stuff like that. That's like from Mischief Night, So just wondering if they call it something different here in Kentucky.
Yeah. So
I don't think we ever had a name for it.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
October 30th.
Yeah, October 30th, the day before Halloween. That's all we got. That's interesting. That's funny. Those weird.
I do think Kentucky's at the crossroads or like on the border of a lot of those type of things, like the soda versus pop and like all those.
Yeah.
I think Kentucky, is just
Mhm.
is split on a lot of those, whether it's like north south or east west. So it is interesting in Kentucky. I feel like you get a mix of a lot of the different regions coming together, but I don't think we had a specific name for Halloween Eve.
Yeah.
I believe I'm gonna fact check this, but I believe it's like the Michigan, like Detroit area calls it something as well, like
I don't know.
Devil's Night. They call it
Oh,
in
snap.
the state of Detroit. So
Devil's Night.
yeah,
That's
it's
intense.
Mischief Night and then Devil's Night.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very unique. I don't know. Yeah, I've just always said night before Halloween, but there we have it. There we have it. If you want to like go Dylan's route and just call it Mischief Night, then go for it. Just don't TP. What's your address again, Dylan?
Oh,
Don't TP. You're supposed to say your address, and then people know so they can TP it. Well, whatever.
Well, I was trying to quickly remember
the bit,
yours. I was trying to quickly remember yours.
You don't have it memorized. I knew that. See, fake friends. No. So, all right. For those of you guys that are just listening, we lost Jessica for a minute. She's coming back soon. Maybe she just decided to abandon us because of all the talk about the night before Halloween, and she's like, "Whatever. This is not a soccer pod anymore." But we are going to get into some pre-match stuff. We're going to talk about the men's match first and kind of where we're at heading into these final two games. Then we'll discuss the women's match as well as kind of where we're at in the season with them. But as always, we're fueled by a lot of listener and viewer questions. We had a really fun oddball one. And as many of you guys know that listen regularly, the rec league season for an Unatletico Madrid is over and has been for a minute. We were going to do winter, but schedules were tough. Hamstrings are healing, all that stuff going on. But we did have somebody that wanted to ask us about Unatletico Madrid. If you don't know of him, LSC June is the account name on Instagram. He does amazing photos. We actually share it a lot of the time on our Instagram account for our stories. Does really cool photos from match day. They're really awesome. But he wanted to ask us if we had to compare our playing style to a professional player, and he clarified for me it can be past or present. Who would you say you're most like on Unatletico Madrid? So if we had to think back to Unatletico Madrid times and the positions we most played, probably, what are we going with?
I feel like anyone I name, I'm doing a disservice to them, because they're professional players and I'm not. So, I can say who I think I thought who I thought I was out there, but there's no one comparable. Was a trash can, Actually, a trash can would be pretty good because they can, if you just shoot and it hits the trash can, that's a block shot right there, So I mean,
but you were moving. You were more like a robo trash can.
Yeah.
But give us a player. Give us a player. You're not going to do him a disservice.
I don't know. You guys saw how I played. I was very like shoulder to shoulder with guys. Like I played very physical, and I was always just trying to get the ball out as a defender. So if anything, that was John Terry. From Chelsea. He was
Terry. Okay.
He was a bruiser center back. And that's kind of how I was playing. I just wanted to get the ball out, and I was hitting people left and right. Like I just shoulder to shoulder checks. So
yeah,
that's what I was going for.
Okay. All right, it's a good one, Kyle.
That's a great question. I think if you like squint and I don't know, like put some glasses, take your glasses off and like squint and then look, in a different soccer field at other players, I think you could maybe get shades of
Okay.
I'm trying to think.
See
Yeah,
the vision?
that's actually a great question. I think I mostly stayed out on the wings. At least that's where I was most comfortable. I feel like as soon as I dropped back defensively, I was just a huge liability, like more so than anywhere else, which is saying something. In the fact that I did play forward a little bit, but we also had 0 goals on the season.
We had one.
We had one.
Oh, yeah,
Kyle.
we had one. You're right, because I had 1 assist.
Yeah.
You're right. Oh, so
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
an assist.
See?
I'm
Some
thinking
respect
of
on
some
the
of the
name.
wingers that I like. Dylan went with someone on his squad. Let me think. I'd
You
like
know
to
who
think
you
of a little
reminded me
bit
of?
like a Will Hughes type player.
I was going to say Michael
Translucent.
Adedokin.
Oh, you think?
Michael Adedokin. Yep.
Adedokin? I mean, that's very flattering. Of course, to
Yeah.
compare myself to a Premier League midfielder also is quite outlandish, but I like the Adedokin approach. I don't think I beat too many people off the dribble. But much like Will Hughes, I was maybe more physical than people would have thought or enjoyed. And I think I had a nice midfield presence, could push the ball forward when needed, could drop back, and just kind of knew where to be on the pitch when to be there.
Yeah.
Physically, I couldn't always be on the pitch where I wanted to be. Sometimes I'd be like, man, I should be 30 yards that way, and I was just out of gas. So but mentally, dude, I was locked in. So
Right.
yeah, I'll go with Will Hughes, who Crystal Palace favorite. I think his yellow cards per minute are up there too, which is always something. I didn't get any yellow cards for what it's worth, but
You didn't.
yeah, that's who I'd go with.
Okay. Okay.
Something a little different. What
gonna
about you, Tyler?
I'm gonna roll with Phil Jagielka, old Jags from Everton. No nonsense center back. Dude could score, which I'm not me. But otherwise, he was kind of like your standard. He's going to do the dirty work. He's going to take on anybody that's coming that way. Maybe not the most progressive carrier of the ball out of the defensive line, but he did his work and he did it well. And he had tons of appearances for the club, and he was a rock, in my opinion, whenever he was there, and did a good job and played tons of minutes. And that's probably one of the reasons why I tore my hamstring, because I did not sub out very often. My hamstring was probably like, please just stop. And I'm like, no, just we can make it. Like they've got like the secret spray somewhere around here. I know they do. Or like they got the blue tint, and then they'll inject me with something and I'll heal automatically. But no, yeah, that's who I'm going to go with. Or anybody that watches MLS pretty regularly. One of my personal favorites, Michael Boxall. He's another center back that's just kind of like there to do the dirty work and stop any attacks and kind of do his thing. So, yeah, those are going to be mine that I'm going with. So he kind of had a secondary part to this question, but we got to hear from Jess first. She's back. Woo! Hey, we were asking about that question that we had about which player you would compare yourself to, pro player, from your performance on Atletico Madrid.
I mean, I think I'll only use this comparison because that's the position I preferred playing.
Yeah.
Literally no comparison skill-wise. But probably Ekic, just because I like playing on the wings.
You were cooking.
I mean,
you're spinning in some crosses.
Yeah. So I would say purely for that. Just the contributions and sending those.
That's a good shout.
To the goal. Yeah.
Clearly, whoever asked this question never watched any of our trainings or matches.
Yeah.
To even think of that question.
Not at all.
But much appreciated.
Yes.
Oh, man.
And that's the other thing. Like Phil Jagielka, I was really good at headers. I was constantly getting hit in the face with the soccer ball, but it wasn't getting past. I was real good about being like, I can't see because I'm not wearing my glasses, but I know something's flying this way. So if I just move my head here, I know it's not going to go towards the goal. And it was in my toolkit.
Kyle had a really, really nice like Cruyff turn one match.
Oh yeah,
so
that was nasty.
I don't know who's got a really good turn. That's a good comparable for Kyle.
They should probably
you're
compare
right.
themselves to Kyle
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember even after that match
Cruyff.
asking my wife, like, "Hey, did you see that? Did you Johan Cruyff, I think, had a good one."
Yeah.
I remember asking, I was like, "Did you see that? Did you see that move?" And she was like, "No, I was on the phone." I was like, "Cool."
Clearly, it was
That
our
was-
games were very entertaining.
I know. That was literally my wife in the play that I tore my hamstring after I stopped the guy from scoring that goal. And I was like, "Did you see that? I tore my hamstring doing that." And she's like, "No, I literally was watching what your son was doing." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Anyway, man.
Yeah.
But so he also asked us, and this is almost more absurd, that they did like the little intramural skill games for the men and the women this season that people could come out and watch. So he asked, since they had a night where men and women competed against each other in games preseason, what are the chances next year's fun preseason match will be a mixed 11 versus Unatletico Madrid? I'm going to go ahead and say zero, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't even juggle the ball. Like there's just no
We'd
chance.
have to, yeah. I mean, we'd have to get that El Paso trainer to be there because, like,
Yeah.
our whole team would be down.
Mhm.
Yes.
We might even actually be a risk to the other team or the other
Right.
players that are there. You know,
Well, see, the difference is we would actually be hurt. Like,
right. True.
we would actually
True.
have
We
real
need-
injuries.
We would
and
need
so-
that El Paso trainer getting the steps in to attend to all of the bodies on the pitch.
I
Would be
think
my
it would-
guess.
It would just end so swiftly in like any player you name on either squad, men or women. As soon as they touch the ball, they're dribbling past all four of us. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
It could be one of the keepers. It don't matter. They're dribbling.
And if-
they're dribbling right past us.
Yeah.
And if it's like mixed, like half and half, then
yeah.
they'll just not. Then there's no reason to pass us the ball. Just
Yeah.
play amongst
Yeah.
yourselves. You know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, was it a commercial where Usain Bolt ran 100 meters against like normal people, and
Yeah.
like the gun goes and he just takes off? Like that's pretty much the comparison. Is like we would be the ones in the back, like huffing and puffing, while everybody else is just doing their thing.
I think it would be like those videos you see in Japan where it's like one professional player versus 100 children. You know,
Yeah.
it would be
Yep.
the four of us
And
all
they're just
trying
doing
to
the thing.
follow one LSC player.
Yep.
Yeah. It would be bad. And like all I can think of that I know would happen is I would absolutely get a concussion, because people think I'm joking, but I literally would like put my face in front of the ball when people would shoot it. I did that like all season. I don't know how many headers I won. But I probably should not have done it as many times as I did. So like in my brain, I'm like, man, Cat Berry would shoot the ball and I would die. That would be the end of me.
Yeah.
And that would just be it. Shoot the ball. And I'd be like, okay, I can stop this. And then next thing, boom, set the pearly gates. I'm like, what happened to me? Like, buddy, let me tell you. So yeah, it wouldn't go great.
It would be
yeah, they have
entertaining.
it. Yes, for
it'd
others.
be entertaining. Yeah, so
Yes.
that people could come and laugh at our expense.
Yeah.
1000%.
100%. Yeah, maybe that is the move though. All right. You guys ready to get in some game talk? All right. Let's get into this. Let's start, because I have to start with the men's match. I just need to. And we had lots of questions about it anyway. But I gotta jump into this match. And I think one of our questions kind of sums it up the best. Somebody had asked us, I don't know if it was joking or not, how do we protest pro referee? Like that kind of sums up the feelings of the fans from this match. Not just really the refs though. It was the refs and obviously what went down with El Paso. This match that we played, admittedly, like those two goals, I don't know if you guys feel any different than me, but the two goals that El Paso scored, they earned. They were not flukes. There was no like that should have been called back. That should have this. Like you see it and you're like, okay, yeah, they scored. It is what it is. But I have to say, in the history of following this club, there have been a lot of frustrating nights. that was the most frustrating game of soccer we have ever participated in as a club by far. And it wasn't because of the loss. And like when I posted our jokey little video, a couple people were even like, but they won. And it's like, I'm not making the video because I'm mad that they won. I'm making it because the way they played. Now with us, but I guess before we kind of get into that whole mess, we played hard. I don't think there's any denying that, but we did not measure up, unfortunately. We had lots of great chances, especially at the end, that should have went in. Like, how many times were we sitting in the stands and we thought for sure the ball had crossed the line, and just for it to just bounce out or get kicked out or whatever. And I don't know if you guys went back and watched it, but like that one that bounced up, and then I think it was a Jago, right, that tried to like go in the air and almost scissor kick it, but then the defender jumps backward and kicks it at the same time and manages to get the foot there first. And I'm like, what in the world? Part luck, right? Or bad luck, whatever you want to call it. But then partially some of those things, it's like, man, we have to be able to put those things away. We have to score those. And so I think when we're about to unload about this game, like I think we're about to, I don't think anybody is necessarily saying we should have won and that's why we're frustrated. And I could be alone in that, but it's more of just like the game was a joke.
Yeah. I said this, I believe, on the last episode when we talked about the I don't even remember it, because there's so many games where like the refs have been like an influence. But I believe it was last episode we had, I said regarding the men's game, two things can be true. The refs can suck and we're not doing ourselves any favors. And that's been the tale of, the last few matches and, most importantly, this one that we're talking about right now. Like you said, Tyler, the goals that El Paso scored, they earned, right? We let them get those goals, right? And, we start to kind of piece things together in the second half and look more dangerous. And then at the end, it feels like all that is getting there and, we get one back and it really feels like everything's going our way. But that always comes way too late for us. All these things are happening way, way too late for us. And it's always the same thing. And, when you ask Boss the questions at the end or when we get the quotes from them for the away games, it's the same thing. It's like, well, the guys played with a lot of intensity. They really put their effort out there. Okay, well, no one's saying they're not, right? Like, we know they are doing that,
right?
But why can't we get a consistent net for a full 90 minutes? Why are we having these lulls in the beginning of the games where we're getting red cards or we're letting the opponents get 2 goals in? We can pat ourselves on the back all we want and say, yeah, we were competitive and we had a lot of intensity, but we still lost the game. We didn't even draw, at home. These are all things. And, Tyler, like you said, it's just the other team won and, they won their way and there's really not much else to it.
And it sucks too, because we got Burks back in the lineup, which was like a big win, but then we lost Sargent. So it was a 1-for-1. We've been begging, like, please let our players get healthy, and we get one healthy and then one's out. And, we're still missing those key pieces. So now Sargent's out, Adetikin's out. So our left side, our core left side is gone, right? Yeah. And so we're having to kind of, tweak and manipulate. And, even in this game, it was kind of strange, right? We saw, not that he didn't deserve it, but we saw Burke start instead of the Jago, which was kind of, an oddball thing considering like all our other lineups. But I thought he did a good job. I thought he played with a lot of intensity in this game. But man, it's just like we take one step forward and then 2 steps backward every single game. And sometimes it's not necessarily our fault, but we have to find a way if we're going to do something.
Yeah.
To me, it was one of those where, like, especially in the second half, I don't know how some of those didn't go in. And like you said, Tyler, seeing the different angles helped a little bit. But and even in the first half, there were some chances. Of course, we saw one in the back of the net pulled back from offsides. But to me, it was it was just beyond frustrating. It was one of those matches that, I mean, I looked at it after, in my head, the possession was like 70-30 to Lexington, right? I know the stats were much more even, but in my head, it just felt like from the moment they scored on that set piece, that corner early on, from that point, it felt like we possession, at least in terms of possession, had control of the match, had control of the tempo of the match, even to where their second goal that came off of a fast break, it almost happened like in the blink of an eye because we had been, in my opinion, really controlling the match, and so you kind of, those type of kind of quick strikes can happen and kind of put you on your heels a little bit, but it seemed like Lexington was the better side despite having a few guys out with injury. But I mean, just the amount of frustration, you felt like if you played that match with those same guys 10 times, Lexington wins 9 of them, right? But like everything just broke the right way for El Paso. To me, I'm not even sure there's much blame to place on Lexington's side. And I know that's shocking for someone to say based on, some of our recent matches. The only thing I can say is it was a match that we had to win or at least get a result, and it didn't happen. So, you can break down the stats and look at, possession and look at shots created and chances created and all that. And it just seemed like almost like a snake bitten type of night where it was like, it just wasn't going to happen. But it was a bad time for that type of match to occur given like our schedule. And I know we have a question about must wins. That was a must win. So we're past those. Like we're at the point now where like mathematically every game is a must win. Like I don't. That was a lowercase must win. Now it's like I think
Capital.
Mathematically we're doing ourselves
all caps
a disservice. Just right, because you have Orange County sitting in the wings with they still have a game in hand too, so they're going to have an extra match to play, and then you have Colorado who's playing a team that's already clinched in Tulsa and a team that's already seen their season basically come to an end in Las Vegas. They're eliminated, so you have potentially 2 matches there against opponents that aren't going to be playing as hard. I mean, you never know, but you're just looking at those 2 sitting 8th and 9th in the table, and it's not very promising. So, yeah, El Paso was a must win. At the very worst, it was a must get a result. And part of that too was just the home, being at home. Lexington has a fantastic home record this year. Had a fantastic home record, and so that was part of it too. When I was, when in my mind when I was thinking about making that a must win, right? You're like, you're at home, and Lexington's had a pretty successful home season. So injuries or not. So it was one that, again, very, very frustrating. I think the first goal was certainly something that, set piece, very hard, kind of against the play too, at least from our angle, it looked like going to like the far post behind Brooks. And it just seemed like it was a very well-placed ball. But then the second one just felt like maybe a slight let down a little bit defensively in that counterattack. So, just an absolute gut punch of a night. And then, you still look at the standings, still in the playoff hunt. I know we'll get to that, but now you see those 3 losses in a row, and that one especially was painful.
Yeah, one thing that comes to mind for me is it kind of touching on you saying that it felt like we controlled the tempo, but they controlled the mood. Like with all the fouls that they caused, all the stoppages, like you could tell even in the stoppage time in the second half, the one where, which one, but one of the times where they were very clearly still wasting time. They had a corner so at that point they were on our side by the supporter section, and you could just see the look on the guys' faces like, are on our guys' faces of just like, are you freaking kidding me? Like,
Yeah,
again, serious,
constantly.
like they were just over it. They were over the games they were playing, and like kind of like we want to just play soccer, and you're preventing us from being able to play soccer. And so
Yeah,
I think they did really well though, considering how much El Paso milked it.
That's a good
I think
point.
Tyler and
Because
I looked at each other at like the 25th minute, 26th minute, and we're like, are
yeah,
they time wasting? And I think
Yeah.
that's it's a little bit like they were already, you're almost half an hour into the match, and I think that says a lot about a team also understanding maybe where they stand. Like maybe they thought like,
Mhm.
hey, we don't really have it tonight, and we need to, because typically in the 25th minute, no matter what the score is, you're just playing it straight up. And I'd
Yeah.
never seen anything like that. It was wild.
Yeah.
That's the frustrating thing. And Jessica made a good point about our players keeping their cool, because it could be very easy to lose your cool in a game that frustrating, and them time wasting. Like they very clearly started super early. There's no way, nobody can ever convince me that they were not told to immediately time waste once they go up on us. Like they
Yeah.
can't, I was even having an exchange with somebody on Blue Sky, and they, had experience with El Paso's coach. They'd even interviewed him a couple times back with one of his previous teams. And he's like, that doesn't sound like him. And I'm like, well, it was tonight. Like there's no way they were not directed as a team to do what they did. And
Yeah.
and again, people can call this petty all they want, and I know people will from other teams because it's not them in this situation. But like me as a fan of the sport, I'm upset because
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the game of soccer. And whenever we're trying to grow the game in the US, and all these people have all this ammunition to say soccer is just a bunch of people rolling on the ground and blah, blah, blah. And then you have a professional team, supposedly professional team, where all of the players are choosing to lay around on the ground the entirety of the match to
Yeah.
time waste. It's embarrassing. And honestly, like you shouldn't be playing the sport if you're okay with doing that. Like
Mhm.
it wasn't like this is the last like 5 minutes and they're only up by one goal and they got to secure this. And so they're doing a little bit of that. Every team does some of that. Every team does a little bit of that. I'm going
Yeah.
to waste time here. I'm going to kind of do this there. But to do it to the level they did was an embarrassment in my opinion. And
15
it,
minutes of stoppage.
yes. Yeah. And like, we didn't even get all the stoppage time we were supposed to out of the first half, in my opinion. It was absurdly low for all the times that they were time wasting. And, we even talked about it, all four of us. We were talking about how like their keeper went down and needed to get checked like 5 times. And at one point, does it become the ref's responsibility to be like, man, you must be seriously injured. So I need you to leave the field and go get checked because you've gone down for like 5 different times and said you're seriously injured and need a trainer. So you need to leave the field and then get seriously checked. Because like you can't put the game in the other team's hands. You can't put it in the ref's hands. But in this case, like the ref and El Paso are both culpable. Like they both own a pretty good line share of the blame for this being just like an ugly, unwatchable match that should be frustrating for anybody that enjoys just the sport.
Mhm.
And that's in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is, it felt like virtually every play an El Paso player was taking a dive and, making the most of it, rolling around on the field. And, that's a problem in itself. El Paso is wrong in that respect. And then the other wrong part comes in is the ref for, allowing it, calling the foul on us, indulging in their theatrics, and then not reprimanding them for the simulation. Tyler mentioned it multiple times where the keeper has gone down and just, milked the most out of the time he could, really. And, the ref even certain times goes over and talks to him, but it's like, what are you even saying at that point? We're way far gone past the point of like warnings, So it's just hard when you're fighting two teams at the same time. You're fighting the refs and you're fighting El Paso at the same time. It's just I don't know. I just don't understand how like a fan of El Paso can sit there and like really be proud of themselves for this win. You know, you can be like, hey, we got the 3 points. That's fine. You can do that. But I wouldn't brag about it at all, really, because the way that your players represented you is embarrassing. And you're now a rival of LSC, and we will make sure that all these games are hell for you when you come to the Staples. Like, we're not going to forget this.
Yeah. I think someone on a El Paso fan commented on their I think their results post saying like, all right, I'm glad we got it, but we can't keep relying on the time wasting. So I did see a couple, and I had commented on their post too, and a fan replied to me and was like, yeah, that was. So I think there were a few fans that did recognize it, and others that were just like, whatever. But so yeah, and I do really think, knowing that we've gotten 2 red cards in a row the past 2 games, or the 2 games before that, I really think they were trying to get some sort of reaction out of one of our guys. We had 4 yellow cards, so I think they were trying to get us to get another red heading into these last final games.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm surprised that we didn't get more
was,
yellows out of that. Sorry, Kyle, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I know Premier League and some other leagues have implemented a 30-second rule. If you go down with injury, you're off the pitch for a minimum of 30 seconds. Like I know it used to be kind of arbitrary, like off the pitch, and then you kind of go back on when you're ready type thing. I'm not sure exactly which, like, all leagues use it, but it seems, I mean, at the very least, you know that you're going to be a man down for a certain amount of time. And there were cases where El Paso would have been 2 men down. Because they couldn't decide which one was going to do the milking at a certain point of a match. So something to think about. And, those type of rules tend to kind of trickle down. So maybe it's something that we'll see. Obviously, it's also something that is easier to enforce, when you have more of a crew of referees and video review and all the different technology that you can use. But I think with a full referee crew at the championship level, like, it shouldn't be that hard to implement. So to me, it could be something that is looked at for the future.
Yeah.
And I know we say, like, as far as ref stuff goes, that we shouldn't blame the ref. But I also genuinely hope we never get this ref ever again. I cannot stand him. Every time we've had him, it's been terrible.
It's been bad. Yeah, it's been bad. And like, I thought he was going to give yellow to either like Corey Burke or Forster Ajago, because I know there was one point where they both approached him and were like, "What are you doing?" And you could tell they were like being like, they were just laying on the ground and like you're feeding into it. Like it just, all the times that we saw them just tumble down with minimal or no contact. Like, there's one time where they were on like a breakaway and I forget who was tracking them down, the player, and then they pretended to get pushed in the back and the ref motioned like they pushed in the back and their hands were down. And yet whenever we have somebody in the box and they get pushed down, nothing, not any. And it's like, I'm surprised that we got that one free kick. I couldn't believe it that they actually gave that to us, but it just was absolutely insane how much they were just feeding into the whole thing. And then, whenever the crowd was going crazy, because man, the crowd that night was just losing it, which rightly so. But I loved how the ref was just like pointing to his watch, like, "Don't worry, I'm keeping time, guys." And it's like, but why don't you control the match? And you don't have to worry about this. Like, actually control it, because then it becomes an irresponsible situation too. Because if you let players continue to do that stuff and help build frustration, then you are going to have a dangerous situation at some point. And like, our guys kept their cool. Like, that was amazing on their part. All props to our team for keeping it cool and not like losing their heads and getting into like serious trouble, reacting to all the theatrics, because man, that would have been really, really tough for anybody to do, and I even said in the stands with you guys, I'm like, you know what? I'm not even mad if Terry Boss takes a red right now. If he
I was
takes
just
a red
about
to
to.
call out what's happening, like, I don't
I
think
was
any
just
of
about to bring that up.
yeah, because like, you never want that to happen, but at the same time, it's like, that is absolute garbage. And, I hope that our club is talking to somebody somewhere with some sort of authority to get that checked out and, have them at least, figure out like, okay, what's going on with the refereeing and what's going on with El Paso, because I can't get over it. I don't know how you feel good about playing a sport you supposedly love that way.
Mm-hmm.
That is like so disrespectful to the game. It's disrespectful to the fans. Like, and if you feel good about yourself securing playoffs doing that, then that's on you, and you got to reckon with that at some point. I could never. If LSC ever played like that, I would be just as vocal on here and calling us out, because there's no way I would be happy with a win if we did all those things, because it was just abysmal.
Yep.
Tyler, like you said, yeah, I wanted Terry Boston to get a red so bad. Like, we just needed like something to give us an edge, and I feel like that's really what would have helped. Just to fire up the team, fire up the crowd. Get some more energy, and also just like stick it to the ref. Just like say something. That's gonna get you a red, and tell the ref that they're wrong for all these calls. Like, have a spine. I don't know. I just feel like, normally you don't want your manager to get sent off, but in this case, when the game is just completely out of hand and like, we have no control over anything, you might as well just go for it. Just like be the lightning rod that we need to, set this match on fire. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, and I understand the other side of it too. And I did appreciate that he, at the end of the game, he was clearly giving the ref some choice words, and rightfully so. It's just, I'm glad that we have everybody, nobody got a red at the end of the day to go into this next match. But geez, and some of these things that happened in that match, you do wonder, like, all of the laying around, that's going to shift momentum. That's going to make you kind of lose the flow of the game. It's going to cause frustrations. So if the game is played straight up, maybe we do tie it. Maybe we do win. And maybe in that way, El Paso was successful. But I don't think you'll ever be able to convince me that that was a true
Good
success
soccer.
of the spirit of soccer in the sport. So I don't know. We're in a tough place now. We really are. Like Kyle said, somebody had asked, is Friday a must win? Like, I mean, this past weekend was a must win in my book. We actually got a really great favor today because Charleston absolutely decimated Colorado. So not only did they drop them lower in goal differential, but they also kept them off of our heels just a little bit. They weren't able to surpass us or tie us up in points. So there is that going for us. But we still have 3-4 teams that are going to be fighting us for that, 8th, 7th, 6th, whatever spot. And we do not have an easy road. We have a home match and an away match and quality opponents for both, honestly. And I don't know. Like, this is, you pretty much need all 6 points. Not pretty much, you do. You need all 6 points, and you need these other teams that are on our heels to stumble and really not manage to do what they're trying to do. and it stinks because I feel like we've been in this situation so many years where we need all these other teams to fail for us to succeed. And at the end of the day, I guess, that's sports in general. You always want other teams to fail so you succeed. But I just hate how it never falls in our favor where we can really, truly be like, we're in control of this. And again, a lot of that's going to come down to things like all the massive injuries. Just when we found our stride, everybody started getting hurt. Like, everybody's a brother. And sometimes you just can't control those things. And it's a bummer. But we still have to find a way. And I think that we can, but it's just going to be absurdly tough. Going into these last 2 matches, luckily one is a home match, so that's good. The away match, tricky finishing up the season on the road. But, I know somebody had asked us, John, in fact, was asking if we at least make the playoffs. Is that an overall win for us for the season?
This is a really tough question for me because I feel like, yes, if I, gun in my head, yes, it's a success. We've not been to the playoffs, in our, tenure. This is our first year in the championship. So, it's a great measure stick. But the bar is so low because of the Western Conference. And we've had such a wild ride this season that it's hard to describe it as a success. So like the milestone is big, like playoffs is a big milestone, like that we can't take that away. But the way we got here is failing upwards, if we even get here, that, like obviously everything has to fall in place for us. So it's not guaranteed that we even make it, but that's how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say if you said beginning of the year in the playoffs, I'd say, you know what, step in the right direction. Like Dylan said, haven't made it yet. Even though 16 of the 24 teams get in or whatever, it's still like an accomplishment. But the fact that the team was playing so well just a couple months ago and has really at this point will backdoor their way almost into the 7 or 8 spot. It's not like they're really going in with a lot of confidence or I guess going in with a lot of momentum either for that matter. So it would be, it'd kind of leave a little bit of a bitter taste if it's early exit in the playoffs. But I think when you look at the from the start in 2023, this is kind of like the next step, right? And making the playoffs is a big deal. So I would say, yeah, there's definitely some measure of success and some things to be proud of. Not done yet, though. I mean, still gotta earn it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely don't want to count the season over just yet. I think I would consider it a win just based on the points that we've talked about already. But as far as the season has gone so far, though, it kind of goes back to the comments I made last episode where just being cautiously optimistic, where I feel like we've had a bit of whiplash throughout the season of just having some low lows, some high highs, it's just been a roller coaster. There's no been clear. There hasn't really been a clear trajectory or consistency. Like teams that we should have beat, we lose to. Teams that we thought we'd lose to, we beat. And so it's just, you really have no idea what to expect going into a game. And so definitely am not counting out these last 2 games. I still have faith in our guys, but still the cautious optimism of I don't know what we're gonna see any given day. So
yeah, I'm gonna go with yes, it's a success because yes, you have 16 out of 24 making it, but in the past we couldn't even break top 8 out of 12, and so if we manage to break top 8 out of all the teams in the league, I feel good about that. That is a step in the right direction. It is not necessarily where I would hope that we're going to be, but I would be happy to say, like, all right, we moved up to the championship. That was a challenge. We got to basically, I mean, it is a whole brand new team because everybody else that was from the past got loaned out. So that was a challenge. We had to find our footing after stumbling so much early on in the season. That was a challenge. And I feel like we overcame a lot of those challenges. And now the only thing slowing us down is injuries. And so in my brain, I feel like we finally got the right team composition and the right direction and the right strategy. We just ended up being victims of circumstance, which again, good teams have to rise above those circumstances, right? We have to be able to say, well, next man up and let's keep the pedal to the metal and do our thing. And in some ways we've been able to do that. In some ways we haven't. So I think there are a lot of wins to take away from the season, no matter what happens. Playoff appearance is the next rung up. It's almost like when I take my kids to Malibu Jacks or something, and there's like the tiers for the prizes they can spend their tickets on. They're happy to get like a Dum Dum Sucker or something one time, but then they're always like, man, if I can just maybe get extra tickets next time to get this thing. But then what happens if I get extra tickets for this thing? You know, it's always nice to get what little success you do, but you're always aiming for that higher level, and you're not really going to be satisfied until you reach it. And I think that's where we're at this year. And it's a little bittersweet to see us lose all that momentum that we had gained. And at first it was like, man, this is a lock. Playoffs they're almost a done deal for us. We're going to be able to make it in for sure. And now we're all sitting here biting our nails being like, ooh, okay, we got to really clean things up for these last couple of games. And we got to hope that a couple of teams flounder. That is not a fun position to be in. And that's the position I feel like we're always in with the men's team. It's always like, oh, why won't other teams fail so that way we can succeed? And it stinks. And again, can't control, whenever we have injuries, but long answer short, yes, it's a success for me. So let's kind of like talk about a couple of things. Like these kind of go hand in hand for me. So last couple of things for the men's team, unless you guys have final thoughts on this game. No? Okay, let's leave it in the past. So we actually had somebody ask us who is somebody on the men's team that we don't think gets enough props. And then we had somebody else ask us who is going to get our vote for the golden horseshoe that the Railbirds give out. So these kind of are, in the same realm. So I figured we could tackle them together because why not? So somebody that doesn't get enough props for the men's team and somebody that you plan to vote for the golden horseshoe. Who would like to go first? Let's do these one at a time. Let's just hit not enough props. Let's do that first, and then we'll go around, and then we'll come back and do golden horseshoe.
I am always talking about Ferry like on the podcast, but I think he's the person who doesn't get enough love just because of like where he is on the field, and so he's the person I would call for that. He was someone who like on Saturday night I felt like was having a really good game. Someone who I would have included in our player of the match vote, but obviously considering the circumstances.
Yeah, Kyle, you said Ferry as well.
Yeah, and yeah, that's like the easy answer to me. Not to mention that I think his first match was like in August, so also a player that came on late in the grand scheme of things. So definitely maybe due to position. He has had a couple assists in the last few matches. So I mean, statistically, I know that's kind of against the true nature of the question, but I think he's still a fine answer for this, just for the fact that he's been consistent and has really been a positive for the club the last couple months.
I like it. Jessica, who's your not enough props?
I definitely agree with Ferry. I'm trying to I think one that immediately comes to, or outside of Ferry, one that comes to mind is Hafferty. I'm pretty sure he's played every game, right? Has he been injured at all other than like when he got the stitches? And I feel like, I'll definitely Hafferty. I think he's been really solid on defense.
Yeah, that's a real good shout.
And he's been a consistent presence in the starting 11. Yeah,
I'd agree with you guys on those two. I think I'm gonna go because those ones I like a lot, but I'm gonna do an off the ball one. We're gonna do Jaber. I like Jaber. I think Jaber has had to fulfill a variety of roles with people kind of moving in and out of the back line, availability wise and whatnot. So I think that he is a player that I think has always done what's needed of him. and carries himself really well, and is just really, I don't know, he's a very positive player, and I think that he's put a lot out there for the team, and I don't think he always gets recognized because, whenever he gets put in those spots in the back line, everybody's like, oh, we're missing Kieran, or oh, we're missing Kendall, or oh, you know what I mean? And sometimes we don't take a breath and be like, oh, Jaber did pretty good there. Jaber was holding that down, and so I think he's somebody that I gotta give him his props. What about our golden horseshoe? Who's winning your golden horseshoe?
I put my vote in for Sargent. I think he's been the most consistent player, with the highest ceiling. So like the highest skill level, performing at the most consistent level. I think the amount of minutes he's put in, is a big part of that as well. I think just the way he exemplifies himself on the field, he's like a classy player. He doesn't flop. He doesn't really complain. He doesn't get upset. If things don't go his way. I just really, really love everything that he's done for the club this year. There haven't really been many games where I'm like, man, Sargent, messed up. I can really think of only like one time where, he made a fault. But other than that, he's been a really fantastic player. I really hope that his loan turns into something more beneficial for us, so that would be really sweet. So Kieran Sargent is my vote.
I completely agree with everything you just said. I will ditto that.
Okay, good. Kyle?
So, yeah, is this basically just like an MVP for the season?
Yeah.
Like this, this award. I think that there are a lot of, Sargent is definitely probably be the odds-on favorite, but I also feel like there are two very important matches left that could sway some things too. So, I don't know. I don't know if I have a definitive answer.
That's okay. It's understandable. It feels early, like you said.
Is that a cop out? It might be a cop out.
Well, and as far as the golden horseshoe, it's not necessarily. I was just saying, it's also like how they engage with the fans and how they exemplify like what it means to be
right.
Like
it's the fan favorite award.
The Charlie Machel won this, right? His first year,
and then Nico
so
won last year.
So it's our got it. Okay, that's I'm on the same page as everyone. I feel like I don't know actually. I do think Sargent would be, like I said, he'd be like the leader in the clubhouse, but I think some years those are kind of runaway awards, but I do feel like maybe the last couple matches could have a little bit of a say in things too. But Sargent is for sure a deserving candidate, if not the winner.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Jack Beer because he instituted $1.50 beer night. So that's gonna man, sorry, I had to do it. This one's tough because I get a little torn with like the Railbirds vote because they always say like their official thing. Yeah, sorry, Kyle. You're gonna go that way too?
No, I was gonna throw my hat in the ring for Marcus Epps, but I didn't want Dylan to get mad at me. So
I like Epps too.
I'll let you finish.
Yeah.
I like Sargent, but Epps is one that comes to mind too. Because as far as like person, like how personable they are, I feel like does a really good job of representing the Shield.
Yeah, I would agree with that. This one's always tough for me because whenever we look at like the official write up that they put with this, the Railbirds have it as the Golden Horseshoe honors the Lexington SC player who shines both on the field and in our community. Someone who delivers excellence in performance, connects with fans, and makes a meaningful impact off the pitch. So that like complicates it a little bit, right? Because like your gut feeling is like, who's the MVP? Who's the favorite? And like my mind goes to like Kieran Sargent, Michael Adedekin. When we talk about like personable with fans, you got Marcus Epps, who also represents well on the field. You've got Jaber. Sophie is really, really good with fans. Like
Speedy is also great with fans as well.
yes,
Mhm,
Speedy
mhm.
comes over consistently, you know. And
Yeah.
I feel like this year we have like a just a weird mix of possibilities for who you could choose for something like this, because some guys are really, really strong with the fan side and some guys are really, really strong with the field side, and a couple are pretty solid with both. Yeah, I'm actually still really, really torn. I haven't voted yet. And it closes on the 16th, I think. So time is ticking. And I was even thinking about this all day today. I'm like, who would actually get this? Like who am I going to put my vote in for? And I'm not going to lie, I really don't know. Right now, I'll tell you who I'm leaning towards, but I don't know that that's going to be my final vote. I'm probably leaning towards probably Marcus. I'm probably leaning towards Marcus because I feel like he has the nice balance of the on and off the field stuff, you know, even when you watch his interviews and things. So he's who I'm leaning towards currently, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. No one will ever know what my vote was. Well, you probably will. You probably will once I actually make my decision. All right. Final thoughts on the men's. We ready to move towards Super League. Super duper league. All right. Perfect.
Cambridge Super League.
Oh, yeah. Dang it. Now I'm going to get fined.
Well, since I'm
Why is the FBI at my door?
It's not the FBI. It's the game.
I was about to say I got to go answer the door.
Yeah.
Cambridge
Go answer the door, Kyle.
I'm a big fan of the Cambridge Fieldhouse. That's where the Pacers play. I don't know what Cambridge is. I'm
I don't either.
I'm a fan.
It sounds like a car tire company.
Cambridge.
We never know.
I thought it might be like insurance.
Who knows?
No free ads
It's
or
a
anything.
mystery.
You can
It's
you can buy annuities online. Yikes, that sounds exciting.
Oh.
Buy your annuities.
Yeah, when you
the
Google
match.
Cambridge, that's what pops up.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I guess about as
Well,
exciting.
I'll leave
as
it to you all
Barclays.
to cover the Super League, and next time we're on here, we'll be talking about 3 points.
Yeah, we will. 3 million
playoff
points.
berth.
Fuck Kyle.
For the women.
All right.
What?
I don't know. I'm not powered by her.
I
Yes,
am.
you are. You're in a pink.
Dude, just
nursery.
kidding.
You're
Look at this
powered by
room
her.
I'm sitting in right
Yeah.
now.
You're absolutely powered by
look at
her.
Look at this pink room I'm in.
What a great
in a
girl
few
dad.
weeks, I'll literally be I'll be hashtag girl dad. So
Hashtag girl dad.
all right.
Cool.
Well, enjoy the rest of the pod. Can't wait to listen to it.
Peace.
Peace.
All right. Let's get into Super League. Super duper duper league. Okay, this objectively was our biggest stumble out of all of our matches. Because you can say like, yeah, but we've had some 0-0 draws. Yeah, we had that 3-3 draw. 3-3 beginning of the season, working out the kinks, trying to figure stuff out. 0-0 draws. Some of those were just tough matches. We were trying to find our footing and be like, all right, how do we score? What do we do? This is the first match where I feel like the other team controlled it.
Yeah.
For pretty much the whole match. Like, I don't think I've seen a match yet this season where I was like, dang, like we cannot get any breathing room. And that was this one against Carolina, which was a shocker to me. Like, I think we were talking about this, like out of all the teams, Carolina this year is not the team that you're thinking like they're going to be the one to put us to the task. And they were prepared.
They did. Yeah.
They did.
It was like a trap game, where we got caught in the trap. We kind of overlooked Carolina. They're, lower on the table and in the power rankings, their record's not so hot. So we kind of thought maybe we could, just steamroll them. And then we kind of got caught in the trap, and they played us really, really well. They were pressing us really hard and not giving us any room to maneuver whatsoever. It made it really hard for our players to dribble forward with the ball or, make any leeway in our possession. It was a really tough match for us. I think I mean, I don't know where to even, start, but I think it's important in our, I'm going to say infancy, right? Because, it's still very
Yeah.
early and we're with a new coach, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Whole new
New team.
squad,
Yeah.
whole new squad.
Yeah.
So like in our infancy, I think this was an important game in
Yeah.
terms of like, you got to know how to get it done in different ways, right?
Yeah.
We got to be able to fight back and claw
It's true.
our way into these results. Even
Mhm.
when we're down against bad opponents, we still got to learn to fight back. And this was a game that proved it for us that we can do that, which is really important. Now, obviously, I don't want that to be every game, right? I don't want
Right.
that to be every match to fight to just get a draw, right? I would rather cream teams and get wins, or I'd
Mhm.
rather, turn that game from a 1-1 to a 2-1, and
Yeah.
so I don't want it to be every game like that, but I don't know. I'm impressed with the team, but it wasn't our best game.
Yeah.
Right. Things just weren't clicking for us in the first half, like really at all. Our left side was, I think it was our left side. It might have been our right side. But man, it was like we kept sending balls cross into the middle that kept
Right at center
getting,
field.
yes, right into
Yeah.
the center of the field that kept getting cleaned up by
Oh
Carolina.
man.
So,
Yeah.
and it wasn't just like one person. That's why I can't remember if it was left or right side, because it was multiple
Yeah.
people doing it. It wasn't
It
just
was.
one person. But
Mhm.
there were so many times where they looked inside to pass to someone and it just went way too far and it went right into
Or like a
Carolina's feet.
Carolina play. Yeah, they were like waiting, right? They were
Yes.
just like springing. I'm like, ah.
Yes. Way too many times that happened.
Yeah.
I guess that kind of got tightened up a little bit and, we were able to obviously get the goal, but I would say our giveaways was a huge problem and,
Yeah.
what led us to giving away the goal, all those giveaways.
Yeah. Well, and I think I remember seeing something about how going into it, how we have one of the best defense going against one of the best offense. I don't know how accurate that is, but I mean, if you look at the goals for, Jacksonville and Carolina are tied with the most goals for with 13 goals, but they have 14 goals against.
Yeah.
Whereas we have 12 goals for, 5 against. So like really good defense against, like they've got a good formula for scoring. So I think that's part of the challenge that we had going into it also.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think maybe we were talking about that during the match, and I was like, it's kind of almost like us last year. Like they can score goals, but they can't keep them out, like you just mentioned.
Yeah.
And that's a great point. And so I guess in that regard, it was awesome that we kept out more potential goals.
Yeah.
And that goal that was scored on us, I mean, that was a tough one because like we could see what Kat Asman was seeing. And it was like there's a defender in front. And so she thought the player was going to shoot outside, and she started to go outside, and the player chose inside and found that space and just couldn't make it in time. And what are you going to do? And the wild thing to me about this match is I was curious because I felt like they were dominating huge swaths of the match. And I was like looking through the stats. Statistically, we're very even. Like statistically, it doesn't look like we were being dominated. And I think really maybe it's just some like recency bias. Like I feel like we've done so good so often, especially recently, with not letting other teams control the match, that now that another team has found some sort of footing, it felt like, oh man, they're like completely controlling the entire match. And maybe it wasn't that intense. Maybe it was more just the feeling of like, whoa, this is the most a team has been able to. But no matter what, it's like you said, Dylan, like we kind of needed this type of match to make us be like, whoa, all right. So teams can figure us out. We got to find out how we counter when they figure us out and keep things rolling. Because we don't want that type of stuff to start happening late in the season whenever it comes time for us to try and get to the playoffs. And there's a long road ahead. So don't get me wrong, a lot's going to change between now and then. But I'd rather us learn those lessons here and now. And of course, I mean, there was no fight lost. I mean, at no point did it feel like we were just like, dang, they scored and let's just hang out and see what happens. I feel like we were absolutely, putting pedal to the metal and trying to see what we could do about getting a goal back, scraping by. We, especially later in the match, we were just like coming at them consistently and sending anything we could in, and just, it was frantic, but not in like a disorganized, chaotic way. It was more of like we have a plan, a loose plan, but we're also just gonna go with some vibes here too. Everybody be there, be ready, do what we know how to do, and we're gonna make it happen. And I think that's what we saw from that goal. It was very much a just be there, and we're gonna send it in and see what goes down. And sometimes that didn't happen last season. You know what I mean? Like we do a lot of let's sit back and hold off and send one player all the way up the field, and they can try and do it all by themselves. And this year it was, or at least this game, it was a lot more of everybody kind of push up in there, see what we can do. So it was encouraging in that regard.
It was also important too that Mac made subs pretty early, in the game. Like he made them closer to like the 60-minute mark, which was really nice. Earlier than he has been in the previous games, which was good. And the subs really helped shift the game for us too. And coach even said that in the interviews afterwards, like, we probably wouldn't have been able to make these moves if we didn't get those subs on the field. So just like hats off to him for making the right moves when we need to make them, I feel like I talk about that with the men's sometimes. It's like the timing of the subs, like we need to make them earlier and whatnot. But if Coach Mack is, making these adjustments at the right time and then we're getting results out of it, that's fantastic. And, that was really good.
Yeah. And shout out, you mentioned like subs. It was cool to see Amber Wynn get her professional appearance, first pro experience. That was cool. So Amber Wynn getting out there doing her thing was really, really neat to see. That's like exciting when you get to be a part of a player's story like that. And see them take the field for the first time in a pro sphere, which we've had that a lot with our club, luckily. But you're right. Getting some players out there that can impact the game and kind of change things up was a big deal for us. And I don't think that you guys feel free to disagree. I don't think this game scares me. I don't think it makes me feel like, oh man, maybe we're not who we thought we should be. And, there's of course questions around like, man, we're drawing a whole lot. Like think about if we had gotten some wins, we'd be top of the table, but the bright side is we are getting points, but at some point we are going to have to get some consistent wins too. We're going to have to like figure out like, all right, after we, play these opponents one time, let's try and figure out like who they are, or even first time, let's figure out who they are and get some actual wins out of this, because I think we have the type of team that could go toe to toe with anybody. And there are great teams in the league, but I mean, like, how do you not look at us on paper and be like, whew, man, that is a super scary squad. So I feel encouraged that we fought the way we did and pulled one back. That last second, I mean, like, man, it went 96 and some change, and we managed to make it work. I'm not gonna lie, I was starting to think, oh man, this might go down as our first loss. And I even told you guys, I'm like, not to Carolina, not to them. Like, can we just not,
totally.
But we did the thing.
There was a couple times too where I felt like we should have had goals too. Like, there was one where Amina ran and it was just like her one-on-one with the keeper, and I feel like that one should have been in. And there's been a couple times where I feel like she's missed those chances where she would have made last year. So
I thought that was a sure shot.
Man, if she can just get on point, I feel like she's kind of missing that like one step to getting all those goals. And like we're like dying for her, and she got that one in the one game, right? But we're like,
We
I
need
don't know.
more.
We just know she's capable so much.
She's
And
so good.
she gets so many of those opportunities where she's one-on-one
Mhm.
with the keeper. And for her to not sink any of them is just like so frustrating.
Yeah, it was a bummer. But there were other frustrating points in this match too that like it just seemed like we had a lot of that. You know what I mean? Whereas like
Yeah.
every time we tried to do anything, it just was not working out and we were just getting shut down right and left. And then we did get like another weird cursed moment where like Addie McCain getting shouldered in the back in the box and then not getting
Yeah.
a PK.
Oh
Everybody
yeah.
keeps asking, like a lot of people in the Discord, especially, like, what is the deal with us not getting PKs like ever? Like it's literally been seasons since we've gotten a PK,
Mhm.
and it's the wildest thing ever. And I still, looking back at the replay, I'm like, how was that not? Because it was not shoulder to shoulder. It was in the box. McCain had control of the ball. The player lowered her shoulder into McCain's back. Like, that's a PK. I'm sorry, but like for whatever reason, those calls don't go our way,
Yeah.
which is crazy. And I think there was some discourse about like, okay, well, if we get that PK, do we win? I don't know. We do. I think we get that PK, and then we still keep pressure, but maybe not as intensely because at that point you're like, all right, get points. But you never know. I mean, shoulda, woulda, coulda. It just is kind of a bummer that it seems like we can't get some of those calls our way every once in a while, whether it be the men's team or the women's. We just never get PKs awarded to us, and I'm not saying every single time should be a PK. We've had some players that have gone down a little soft on our teams in the past. But some of these, it's like, all right, that's pretty clear. And for me, that Eddie McCain one, that felt like a PK.
Yeah.
I felt like Carolina was falling a lot in this match too. And
They were, yeah.
I know obviously comparatively to from Friday to Saturday, it's like
Mhm.
completely different. But Carolina, there was a lot of moments where, the ref calls something and they're still on the ground. And then as soon as the ref turns around, they're up and walking like nothing ever happened. And,
Yep. Hop right back up.
Yeah. So it's just so
The weekend of
frustrating
flopping.
when that happens. Yeah. But Tyler, I
It-
think you got some questions for us from lingering over.
Yeah, I did. So we were asked by Paul, Super League, it feels like our 11 is pretty set in place, but are there any changes you'd like to see? Paul said specifically he likes Shay as a super sub, but he'd also like to see more minutes for her. So is there anybody either that we have not seen or that we've seen briefly that you're like, man, I wonder if we could get some more minutes for them? Or do you just feel like, you know what, as we are is okay for now for me? And if we see more minutes for somebody, I'd rather be in a sub situation.
I think our lineup is pretty good. I think I would like to see Sarah Cox in goal in a few, a few games. I just want to see what she's got behind this defensive line. And then, but that's not something that I'm like dying to change right away. But the one change that I would like institute right away is I would take Taddy off and put Shay on and have Shay start over Taddy. I think Taddy makes way too many mistakes. Like there are certain times when she's the outlier on the pitch for us where even I've noticed there's games where even our teammates won't pass to her because she's been making so many mistakes and she gives up the ball too much. I know that there are times when she makes good recoveries and on dead balls she's pretty good, but we have other people who are good on dead balls, and Taylor Almer is also really fantastic in recoveries. I think Shay brings a lot more to the midfield and scoring wise. I think there are times when Taddy gets the ball outside the box where, if Shay gets the ball outside the box, Shay's going to shoot. And Shay has a fantastic shot. We've seen her score in multiple different ways. We've seen her score from PK. We've seen her score just outside the box. Like in the recent game, we saw her score multiple times last season, so I think just Shay should be a starter. And I mean, like she won an award, for being one of the best players in the whole league last year. So it's kind of a no-brainer to me that Shay should be starting.
Yeah. I definitely agree that Shay should get more minutes. I can see the kind of using her as a super sub, but I think it would be interesting to see what the difference would be like on the field if we had her starting. And then I was just looking through the roster, and there's a couple that I've realized have kind of flown under the radar. Like we saw, I wonder if Hannah Richardson might be injured because we haven't seen her in the starting lineup at all. Whereas we saw her there, whereas in the beginning she wasn't in the 18. And then I know this doesn't really affect the lineup right now, but I'm interested to see when we actually get Kenzie Weinert back when she's healthy, and we can get her back in the 18 too. So, because I know in the beginning she made a really big difference with the time that she did play. So,
yeah, I would agree with that. That was kind of my choice, but again, it's a matter of availability more than anything. I think with Kenzie Weinert, but I am itching for her to return back to the 18 because we got those little flashes of what she can do, and even if it's in like the capacity as a super sub, like she was used in the games that we saw, that would be really, really cool to have somebody available like her that can keep up that intensity whenever we swap out, Sarah Griffith or Amina Ekic, and she comes on and then does her thing. I mean, that's kind of a ferocious swap out, right? So that's somebody that when she's available, I hope manages to make it back into the 18, and then we see some more what she has to offer. And of course, there's always like that side of me too, that all the players that we've not really gotten to see really at all, I'm always curious. I'm always like, I wonder what they can do. I wonder what they got going on. But with us being undefeated, it's kind of a moot point. At that point, it's like, you know what, just roll with what you're rolling with until it doesn't work anymore. And then maybe we'll find something different. Because I think that we've shown that we can produce goals. We know we can produce clean sheets. We just have to make the two happen consistently together. And I think it's just a matter of refinement more so than personnel change at the end of the day. But, there's room to change that. You know what I mean? Like you guys have said, like Paul had said, I wouldn't hate to see some more minutes from Shay. There are lots of players that I think that can do a lot for us. And I think even like Maddie Perez has been put on as a sub here lately, and she's done some really cool things when she's made it back out onto the field, and she's taken on a little bit of a different role. She's been more of an outside back,
she's been excelling.
I think that's good. Yes, I think that's good. And she's been more free to be able to do the things she does well. I mean, like she's one of the players that kind of instigated the situation that caused the goal, right? She makes it to the inline, and then she pops the ball back over to Johnson, and Johnson sends it into the middle for it to ping pong around and get off of Hannah White and into McCain's foot. So I think it's cool what we've got going on though. For sure.
That was a case where normally I think Bourgeois is a great, right back. She is a great starter. I've talked about how much of a fan I am of her, the last couple episodes. But for some reason, she was making some mistakes, and it just wasn't her night. And then bringing on Perez, was a nice change. And she, we've seen her move in different spaces this season, and have her fill out that right back spot and be an instigator for the team and getting that goal was really fantastic. So yeah, that was a good pull, Tyler.
Yeah.
It's good props to her.
Well, and just in that sense too, props to Coach Mack for his management throughout. I've been a huge fan of him so far this season. Yeah. He's doing a fantastic job. Yeah. Huge fan. He's doing awesome. Yeah, I don't really have much more to add to that.
He's a great dude and a great coach.
Absolutely.
As things stand, he can basically do no wrong in my book. Like he just has a vision and he's executing, and it feels right. Vibes are right.
Yeah.
And performance
and the
is
women,
right.
are all on the same page. Like it's
Yeah, 100%. So, like, kind of in the same vein as what happened with the men's team, our discussion with them, somebody had asked, like, well, like, who is somebody that you feel like maybe isn't getting the recognition that you would assume they should deserve for the women's team? Like, who is out there putting in a shift and maybe isn't getting like those player of the match shouts or wins, or maybe isn't getting those highlights or isn't showing up on stat sheets? Who you guys got?
I have to go with Taylor Almer, just simply because
Yeah.
I've been talking about her. Like,
She's great.
I feel like I've been mentioning her the same way I've been bringing up Ferry, right? The
Mhm.
same way,
Yeah.
like that. She just ties everything together, and she's
Yeah.
a nice calming presence on the field.
Yep.
And I can never think of a bad moment from her. And she's a very good, super consistent, and that's all we ask for. So, and
Yep.
yeah, she's not showing up on the the score sheet, so we don't we're not saying her name all the time. So that's why I would pick her.
Yeah, I would agree. What is it with those positions? Because it's that like center
Just thankless
mid-ish,
spots.
like
Yeah.
Cam or
Yeah.
yeah,
You're not always doing all the big defensive flashy things. You're not always
That's
scoring
true.
goals or getting assists. You're just kind of like the one that's
controlling
managing the game.
helping control the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And like your everyday like fan that's just there to enjoy a good soccer match and not analyze it is probably not going to notice a lot of what you do quite as often. And so I
Right.
just feel like that's what's so hard about being a central midfielder, especially more of like a defensive midfielder. It just feels very thankless sometimes. It's just you put in all this work and then everybody's like, whoa, but who scored the goal? But oh, who scored or who blocked the goal? Or, it's just
yeah,
never
right.
what happens in between. So I'd agree. Taylor definitely somebody that deserves some mega props. I'll like choose somebody that's kind of like a secondary pick for me too, though. Like I feel like Hannah Johnson has done really good, and I feel like she's improved game after game, which is really important to me. I feel like there's been a lot of improvement as we've gone through each of our matches. So she, I feel like, has had some really good games here lately. And I want to see more from her. I'm looking forward to seeing what else happens. But yeah, those are two good solid picks for that. That I feel like the recognition's coming, like it's got to. They're doing so good, But in the meantime, I mean, we do have a lot of players that are taking a lot of the shine. We have such a talented team. I mean, I was just curious because I was like, all right, so what are we looking like as far as compared to the rest of the league and what's going on with us? We got Addie McCain and Kat Berry with 4 goals each. So they're tied for second. So when you look at like that list of where everybody's at in the league, we're the only team with players in like the top 2 right now, technically, with goals scored. And then like Amina is cleaning it up with crosses sent, like outpacing everybody else by 10 crosses. We've got, check this out. This was kind of wild to me. So if we're looking at assists, okay. There are 3 players with 3, and then there are a huge chunk of players with 2, and then everybody else has 1 or less. Guess how many players that we have that have an assist, more than 1 assist? Let's put it that way. How many players do you think we have that have more than 1 assist?
I won't answer.
Which would put them technically tied for top 2. You're cheating while I'm talking.
I know.
She always does this.
I'm looking at the stats too.
Hey, this is the same person who parks in the handicap spot. We'll go over this every time.
Oh my
no,
gosh.
we're not going there again.
All right. Honest Dylan, who you didn't look.
I'm going 6.
I think we got 6 people with more than 1 assist.
I'm only saying that just because I feel like you're asking a trick question of some sort. So I feel like I have to go with a high number. So 6 is my number.
Trick question. It's 42, Dylan.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. No, we got 4 players. We got Amina, we got Hannah White, Sarah Griffith, and Taddy. They're all technically tied for second place for most assists in the league, which is absolutely insane because every other team has at best 2 players in the top 2 for assists. So like we're putting in work with players that are being unselfish with their play and getting the ball into the right spots for us to do what we need to do. That it's just, this team is very encouraging. And I know we're not getting tons of wins. We're getting a lot of draws. I'm okay with it. Like I'm okay with it. When you've been where we've been as a club and as a fan base, like this
Yeah.
is great. This is great. This shows that we're moving in a direction that we want to be moving in. This is kind of like uncharted territory for us, especially for the women's side. It's really cool to see us make such improvement within a season. And I
Yeah.
know a lot of that is comes down to a lot of different factors. But it just feels nice to be like, okay, we're starting on such a strong foot that we can have a little wiggle room for when we stumble. And you don't want that to come, but it's going to happen at some point. We're going to have a stumble here and there. It's not always going to be perfect. So it feels really, really good at this moment to say we eventually might stumble, but it won't be the end of the world as long as we continue to kind of keep with who we are and keep with our game plan and manage ourselves the way we've been managed. And a lot of that comes down to the player performance and them gelling as a team. And of course, Coach Mack doing what he does with his, his staff and actually making this all work and have a vision. Because really what it comes down to last year is the women's team didn't have a vision that was very strong.
Yeah.
And even when some sort of vision was compiled, we'd switch visions or switch personnel, which meant a new vision. And then we'd have to switch personnel, which meant a new vision. And it was a lot of rotation that was unhealthy for where we were trying to go. And I'm happy with where we are.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very happy to, be getting these points. I don't want draws to be the only thing that we can do, though. I need us to rack up wins. And because if we're only getting draws and we're out here and we have the most expensive roster and we've done all this turnover, then it's not worth it. We can't be having all these, just 1-point games if we're going to be doing all this turnover and spending all this money, because it's just going to look so silly to be doing it and not get the results,
Right. And I agree. And at some point we do need to start getting 3 points consistently with everything that we got and all the talent. I think it's more like, for me, other teams have done overhauls and tweaked and changed, and they've kind of got a little bit of a new identity themselves. So I think with it being year 2, it's still a little bit of, we've got the right people, but we still have to kind of test the waters and be like, all right, but who are you now? Like, you're not who you were last year. So what are you bringing to the table so we can counter this? And my biggest thing is, even if we just kind of like continue the cycle of like couple draws, then here's a win, couple draws, here's a win. The biggest test that I think we saw last year that will prove who's actually going to make the playoffs is what happens after the break. And so that's kind of like the thing that's always on my mind. And that's kind of in the future, right? That's a little ways away, but I still have that on my mind. I'm like, okay, are we going to be that type of team that can be who we are, but make the adjustments that are necessary when that time comes and finish things out? But in that regard, you're very right, Dylan. Like, that's why it's really important that we rack up points now, because, Brooklyn last year, they were going crazy in the first half of the season. They were doing the right things. And then the second half, they tanked. It was real bad for them. And they just weren't able to uphold that. So think how bad it would have been if they had done bad initially. We've got to start getting as many points as we can, as fast as we can. And I think the team knows that. And I think the fight is there. And I think the plans will be laid out, and we'll see that start occurring. And, I try and take some of these with a grain of salt too, because a lot of these matches, the only team we've played twice so far is Spokane. So every other match has been like a test the waters type of thing, which Spokane, I'm still like, man, we should have got 3 points against them in that second round, because we knew who they were by that point. So I'm giving it time. I'm giving it time and say, like, okay, draws are good for now, because we're just seeing who they are. And now that we've seen, we've got to switch it on. We've really got to like take that formula that we used against Dallas and go
Mhm.
crazy. And that'd
yeah.
be who shows up to every match that's just ruthless, and teams
Mhm.
just don't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
I just my thing is
Mm-hmm.
the way the club is building the team, they're setting themselves up for like high expectations
Yeah.
right away. Right.
Right.
Like the way that they're putting out this team and they're building
Mhm.
this, is they're expecting results right away. And if that's your philosophy, that's cool, but it has to be a successful philosophy, and we're not getting those, like it's
Results
still,
just yet.
yeah, it's still very early. Like I said earlier, infancy. We're in the infancy,
Mhm.
but if we're a draw team, then the philosophy is not working.
Mm.
Yep. I see what you're saying, man. And we'll have to see. We'll see how it continues to evolve, And that's the key, is we can't stagnate. We always have to evolve and take these blueprints and then add this here and tweak that there, and we will see that, I'm sure. Because you have to in this sport. You can't rest on your laurels, and especially not this early on. But I'm excited to see what we can do in our next match. I feel like that's going to be a big one, right? Because right now, when we're looking at the table, the only two undefeated teams are us and Fort Lauderdale. No other teams are undefeated besides us two. So this is kind of an exciting match because it might actually determine which of us gets to move up the table, number one, and also gets to remain undefeated at the same time. And for us, if we get all 3 points out of this, we're top of the table. And I know Spokane is right now, and Spokane's like, we're top of the table, but they played 2 more games than just about every other team or more. So it's like you're 9 games in, we're 7 in. And so if we can get those 3 points and then bump up to 14, we bypass them, and then we're at where we should be. And then we can really start talking like, all right, we beat the last undefeated team. They were in the top spot for eons until Spokane just took it over. So this will be a really, really great test for us.
Yeah.
This will be like can you do this? Can you go against a team that's been handling all these other teams, doing their thing, and make it work? So I feel, for me, a win, I don't want to say is a must, but a win needs to be like our statement to the league. I know we had a little bit of a statement with Dallas, but Dallas really isn't who they were. I mean, they're still top 4, but they're not like last season in my mind, where like last season I was like, dang, Dallas is kind of scary. Fort Lauderdale right now is that team that I think is trying to like run neck and neck with us.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion.
I think, I'm of the mindset that we can win every match, right? I believe in the squad to win every match.
Yeah.
But I also believe that because of that, we should win every match, right? So I think we should beat them this upcoming match. I think this should be a win for us.
I agree. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
I will say it is a little bit of a for as much as we believe in this club and always have since our fandom started, I will say it's a little bit of an alien feeling to go into matches and be like, they're not beating us.
Yeah.
They're like, every match we go into, I at least feel that. Like you said, Dylan, I want to be able to feel like we're winning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But right now they're not beating us. And I want to be where you're talking about, Dylan, and say, we're winning. We're absolutely, which of course I always believe we will, but there's like 98% certainty when we go into matches that we are coming away with at least a point. And wins, I'm like, all right, I'm about like 80% certain that we're going to get a win out of this. And it's not because I don't believe in the squad. It's just because we've yet to really rack those wins up and prove that we're going to go in and beat these squads. So I'm ready for us to prove like we're beating all these squads. And then that way, every match we go in and we're like, all right, we're 99% there. Like this is a lock. So that's a good point.
Well, and it'll be interesting coming against them again after our very first game of the season and it being drawing 3-3. So now we've got more games under our belt and, we're kind of solidifying the strategy and all that stuff. And so I feel like this will be a really good rematch.
I think so too. And that, that match that we had against them, we very nearly beat them. Like, aside from a late penalty, a late pin was what it took for them to tie it up. We almost came back and did our thing, because that would have been a comeback victory for us. They were up 2 goals like the entirety of the match until the 63rd minute, and then we finally started scoring. And that PK was what did us in. So I think this is the match right now that I'm most excited for this early part of the season. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Hope 1 million people show up, but unfortunately they moved it to Thursday, so it probably will not be 1 million people. That is such a bummer to me.
I know.
That is such a bummer to me that Fort Lauderdale, whatever travel issues they ran into, likely not being able to get hotels, because I think somebody said, what is it, like homecoming
It's
weekend?
homecoming for UK, and family weekend or whatever.
So then we have to take a hit to our attendance.
Yeah,
and have a shortened week.
This is on them. Like when I got married, I had to account for a home game, so I had to block off hotels so that people could stay at the hotel. And there was a home game against Alabama when for my wedding. So, I have no sympathy.
New rule.
I really don't.
New rule. If your lack of setup for travel and foresight causes another team to have an adverse schedule change, that team automatically starts with a 2-goal lead. I'm saying right now, we should start with a 2-goal lead, because we were supposed to play on Sunday and it's all the way back to Thursday. So you're lucky I didn't make it a 3-goal lead with us moving back 3 days. So just be glad I'm kind of magnanimous like that, Fort Lauderdale. But it's official, 2-goal lead.
Well, and not only that, but they didn't have a game this past week.
Yeah.
And we did.
Now we're playing on a short week.
Right.
Isn't that fun?
Not much recovery time.
Yeah.
They have had plenty. And I really hope that the club is getting compensated somehow for this, because the hit to the attention, nobody, it's a weeknight. It's a school night. It's fortunately I was able to work my schedule around to where I'll be able to make it, but I mean, it'll be just me.
And it'll be a shame when the kids are picked up at 9:00 at night from school. That's gonna.
I'm not leaving my kids at school. No. That is not what's happening. But
I know they could walk over next door, and I would take them home. Don't worry.
But I'm a psycho, and so I was like, well, I'm gonna try and go because I really want to see this game. Whereas other people are just gonna be like, oh, that stinks. Yeah. Oh well, nobody's gonna be there. Yeah,
it really sucks, and I'm just really concerned about. Beside the attendance, I am a little concerned about the short week. That is a very short turnaround for us when we were supposed to have a full week of recovery and preparation. And I just feel like it's a little bogus that we had to make that concession. But you know what? We'll beat them anyway. And then we'll be like, look, you guys even had the advantage of having rest and making us play in a short week. And here we are. So that's what I'm choosing to believe. Despite all the shenanigans there.
Hey, they'll be rested, but will they be rusty? Rest versus rust.
They will be rusty. Yeah. That's right, Dylan. They will be rusty. I like that, especially whenever I let that rooster loose in their hotel and then make it think that it's 6 a.m.
Jess told me we were pulling the fire alarms.
Oh, that's illegal, Dylan.
Well,
that's illegal, Dylan.
Only illegal if we get caught.
You just told everybody that you're doing it.
I didn't say.
I'm glad you said you and Jess talked about this and didn't implicate me. This is the first time hearing about it, and I'm saying it's not okay. just so we know.
If something does actually happen, that would be really fun. We don't know where they're staying. Nothing's happening. I feel like
I
we
love
need to
that you
make that very
clarified
clear.
Although it would be our luck, like we would joke about that, and something would happen, and it'd be like,
Yes.
"It's the Crank Kicks Flex podcast." I knew it.
Need an alibi quick.
And then
Oh,
we go to
man.
Gamebridge Jail.
Yeah, the Gamebridge Goons.
Yeah,
Oh,
we just have
man.
to like go press kits for the rest of our lives. And just put the numbers on and like this was
So
not
license
straight. Do it
plates.
over. Dang it. I'm trying. The one and the zero is so wonky when you try to put them on there. No.
Oh man, and even like the theme was going to be a fall festival. So like whatever people they had coming for I'm so frustrated. I'm so
I
annoyed
don't know.
with Fort
Yeah, me too.
Lauderdale.
Me too. That's why we
Boo.
got to beat them. We got to show them what's up. All right. I think that covers it all. Is there anything I'm missing? No? Yes? Maybe? Sort of? I will say one little shout out. I forgot to do it last episode, and life has been crazy. But if you guys haven't checked out Starting 11, it's a local soccer shop here in town.
yeah.
We've shared some of their stuff. Go scope it out. Clay and his team, they're pretty cool. We got some new gloves for my son, and they were super reasonably priced. He's been a phenom since he got them. I told him that they're magic. I don't know that they actually are, but he's been playing like they are. He had like 11 saves the other day. So, you know what we're going to say? It's because of Clay and his awesome team that's Starting 11 selling us those gloves. But seriously, though, go support a local business. Half the time you go to like Dick's or somewhere and they don't have any good soccer gear anyway. So might as well. Okay. Come out to the games if you can. The women's game Thursday. Be there. So that way Fort Lauderdale does not win the moral victory or the physical victory. Don't forget about the men's match too. That's the last home match of the season, minus playoffs, whatever happens with playoffs. The regular season, this is it. This is the final one. It's your last chance to come see this team in the regular season. So hopefully there's tons of people out there, and I'm hoping that we have a less frustrating match. But we'll just have to see what goes down. Until then, you know what it is. Come on, you Greens.